Good morning. How are you guys doing today? Welcome to Nail School. Today we're going to be covering form application. All right. So what I've done is I've kind of broken down a few types of nails that you're going to be applying forms on. What everybody struggles with, again, is not doing tips, right? Tips are as easy as sizing the tip, gluing the tip, cutting the tip, and then going into your overlay. But if you wanted to build custom shapes and you wanted to learn how to, take your nail game to the next level, you have to understand how to do nail forms. All right. So the way a nail form is constructed, right? You have, again, this beautiful laminated, pretty much sticker. And the way it works is you're going to take this tab and you're going to place it right underneath, just like this. Okay. And you're going to notice that it's going to give it a little bit of stability right here, right? So if you take this tab and you end up pinching it, you're going to notice that it's going to create a beautiful C curve, right? From the end of the nail all the way out to where you build. You're going to open this up and you're going to notice that, again, nice C curve. You have this nice little handle, right? And if you were applying this to a finger, right? And let's just assume that we're working with something that's pre-prepped and ready to go. What you want to normally do is get it onto the end. This is your free edge right here, right? So what we want to be able to do is we need to get that form flush to the end of the nail, not to these back corners. We need to get it flush here. So what you would do is you would hold these just like a handle. And what you would do is you would come in, and again, you're going to notice if I was to take the camera and actually put it to the side like this, you're going to notice if I was to hold this and I was to come in at an angle, right? You see that space right here? All that space underneath. If you were to take that handle and just tilt it forward, you're going to notice that it becomes absolutely flush to the end of the nail, right? And that's what we want to be able to create. We want to be able to create an attachment to the end of the nail where it's completely tight. Okay, so for those of you guys that work on yourselves, what you would be able to do, you would be able to take the handle, you would be able to get this on. I would rock it on so that it was, again, very flush to the end of my nail. And then once it's on, then what you would be able to do is secure the side of the form, just like this, so that you would be able to build your free edge onto the form. So for those of you guys that watch the videos on Young Nails, right, YouTube, Young Nails Inc. YouTube, you can see that I use these all the time. Okay, so again, for those of you that struggle with form application, one of the easiest things to do is to open this up and pre-pinch it. For those of you that are in school or starting school, for those of you who have had instructors and said what you have to do is you have to roll the form like this, right? This is basically again, a way for you to be able to get it so that, again, you have a nice C curve, right? And then you can see if I come inside and then I rock it back, I'm going to be able to get it tight, secure it from the side, and then pinch the front end of the nail. So that is another alternative. I noticed that somebody asked, why do people cut the sides? And that is a really good question. They cut the sides because not everybody's natural nail looks like this. I would say the biggest, challenge is when you come across a nail that looks like this, right? This is a typical nail biter, right? No, I mean, literally, it's like, it would be this short. And then all the skin on the front piles up onto the front of the nail, just like this, right? So what do we have to do in order to make that straight? Jorge, can you do me a favor, bro, and grab me some scissors real fast? Yeah. I want to be able to show you guys something that I think is going to make all the difference in the world. What we have to do is we have to be able to cut the front end of the form. Is there any inside that jar right there? Some cuticle scissors?
No.
Do you have some at your desk, my friend?
I've got regular scissors.
That's fine.
Okay.
Regular scissor will work. All right, so this, again, you're going to notice if I take the tab and I actually place this underneath, what we want to be able to do, if we end up cutting away the sides, we're going to end up making, perfect. I'm going to end up, as you can see, watch this. If I clip the sides right here, if I end up clipping the side right here, and then coming from the front and then squaring it off, what we've done is we've created more space, right? It doesn't matter if it's like this. We've created more space so that if you have somebody, again, who has really wide nails or they have skin that is bulging on the edges, this is going to be a perfect way for you to be able to create the space necessary to fit that finger, right? An easier way to do that, instead of actually clipping the form, is to take the tab just like this. And I'll show you guys an easy trick. So you don't have to cut the form. You could actually just cut the tab. You could cut the tab, and what you could do is you could just place it right here to the front, just like this. So that makes it a lot easier, right? You have this platform, right? Instead of actually cutting away the form, cut the tab, place it underneath. And what you'll be able to do, you'll notice, is create a platform where once we open this up, if you have an individual, and again, an individual who has no free edge, what you will be able to do is take that and place it directly onto the skin like this. See that? And then again, secure the sides. And you're going to notice that my sidewalls are free, right? There's no hitch. That's going to lay across, again, exposed skin, so that if we had to make the nail look as natural as possible, if you had an individual that had bitten nails and you were to place the form onto the nail like this, what you would do, right? You're trying to make the natural nail as natural as you possibly can. So what I would do in this situation is I wouldn't put a nail that's this long. I would actually get a bead, right? Something small. I would remove a little bit of the liquid. That way, when I set it onto the natural nail, I'm creating a tip. So I would walk this down to the side, right, to secure the edge. I would walk it down to the side to secure the edge. And then as you can see, we have what I call a nice platform, a free edge, right? So as it starts to set, what you decide to do, if I was going to go dead square, then what I can do is I could square off the tip, right, like this. Right, so you can see I built a full well tip. If I wanted to create more of a coffin shaped, all I would do, again, is work my edges in just like this so that we have more of that coffin shape. And if I wanted to go more oval, I would just round off the sides or slightly pull forward so that what we'd be able to do is create an almond-shaped tip. And you have to remember, if this is a bitten nail, what we're doing is we're trying to replicate a tip. So I'm going to build something, right, that's going to secure the front end of the nail. Now, at this point, I would actually let this dry. And then as it dried, I would be able to go in and pinch it, right, to give the natural nail. You have to remember, if there is no natural nail, what we want to be able to do, right, because you have to remember, a lot of bitten nails, right, they look like this, right? They're just they're really flat, right? There's a lot of skin that comes around the edge. The nails grow out, right? Because the nail biter is always biting at their corners right here. So the nail grows wide. So if we were to put a full well tip, sculpt a full well tip, and again, it doesn't matter if it's square or pointed, it doesn't matter. What you have is the ability, once that tip sets, to take your magic wand and pinch right here, right? So what it does is it forces the natural nail to grow straight. Instead of growing out wide this way, what you've managed to do is pull the growth channels in so that it becomes dead straight right here. So it forces that nail that is, again, bitten and growing wide to come in, right? And again, you know, in a sense like this, I would wait till this completely sets. Then what we would do is we would come in, we would actually hold, right? And again, I would hold the form. I would have to wait until this dries, right? Because this is still kind of malleable. And we don't want it to basically pinch and lift off the nail. But if you had a nail biter that was in this situation, what you'd be able to do again is create and replicate that free edge. And then you can come in, bounce, get yourself a nice bead, count, right? Remember what we did a couple days ago. We want to be able to count out, right, till about 4 or 5, release, then use the tip of the brush to walk around the perimeter of the nail. I'm going to pull from the corners and the front of the bead, leaving a majority of the product again here, right? If I hold my brush to the side, you can see that I'm preventing it from running down, and I'm also holding it down towards the towel to prevent it from basically running all over the place. And you can even see as it starts to kind of creep forward, right, and start to set, I'm pulling from the front of the bead, right, just to kind of roll it naturally into the tip, right, without pulling away a majority of the product from the back end of the cuticle area. Right. And we still have a lot of workability where I'd be able to take the body of my brush, and if I had to force product back into the upper arch, I would be able to do that. Right. But you can see, right, if we had a nail biter, right, you can even see with that amount of product, right, even if I had to fill the front end, it's a completely different looking fingernail, right, than something that was bitten all the way down to here. A lot of beginners, what they do, they depend on using tips, right? And what they'll do is they'll get a tip, which I'll show you. Like, let's say that you picked out a tip like this, right? And you were working on a smaller finger. If you were to glue this all the way to the back, look at how unnatural that is. You have all this plastic that's mounted on to a very, very short amount of natural nail. This is not even going to be able to hold that out. And then whatever you apply over the surface, because it's nice and because you have a thin cuticle area, you're going to be able to see right through, right? So in this situation, once I actually have that done, if I had to come through, right, and get a small amount on the end of my brush and I had to fill in the remaining amount, I'd be able to do that without actually adding a huge volume of product to the surface of the nail, right? So again, the key to doing any type of bitten nail is learning proper form application. And this is going to help you guys basically build nails that are going to look as natural as possible. Now, we do have the extended nail forms, the larger sizes, the ones that actually are kind of cut at the end. But let's say you don't have those and the only ones you guys have are these. Well, what you can do is, like, I'll show you another example. Let's say you have a customer come in and they have a nail just like this. But the problem is like if you turn their hand upside down, they have a condition of hyponychium. Hyponychium is the skin that's attached to the underside of your natural nail that sometimes grows out, right, with your nail. So if you had an individual like that, you can't just take a form, you know, and then just get it on, because if you try to get this onto the nail, they're literally going to be pulling back saying, ouch, 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 because the form is going to be kind of stabbing at the underside of their skin. So what do? Right? What you have to be able to do is you have to be able to use, again, you have to be able to use your scissors. And what I'm going to do is clip away a manageable kind of V at the very end, okay? This doesn't have to be super perfect. What you're doing is you're creating space. And if you create the space on the nail form, what you will be able to do, especially with an individual that has, again, skin growing out to the very, very end, you would be able to get the form again, and you'll notice, same thing. If I had this right here, right, you can see where it's cut. I'll be able to fit it underneath just like that, nice and tight, without the form stabbing their skin, right? And again, I don't have to worry about tucking this all the way to the back. My main concern is making sure that the form is going to be absolutely flush to this part of the nail right here. It's not about the very back end, okay? Now, let's say you have an individual that came in, right? Because, look, again, my thumbs are big, right? And again, there's a lot of tips that you're not going to be able to fit, a tip. Even with the largest finger, right? Look at this. This is the largest tip. Right? Even with this, right, I have a hard time, look at that, it like bows out, right? There's very, very few tips that are going to be able to fit a finger with that type of width. So what you have to be able to do is you have to be able to customize your nail forms in order to do that. And one way is by cutting off, again, if I cut off one side of this form here, okay? Right, so I have one side of that form cut off, and then I cut off the other side of the form, okay, just like this. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take those two sides. Perfect. And what we're going to do is we're going to connect them, just like that. We're going to create this ultra wide nail form. I could also take this off, kind of place it in between. Give it a little bit of support. And then what you want to be able to do, again, use your scissors or your cuticle scissors to be able to just kind of customize and clip away any excess that you have to the very, very front. But again, very manageable. You could always open up this back end. This back end doesn't matter. What we want to be able to do, if I just kind of pre-pinch this front end like a handle, you're going to notice that even as wide as my finger is, right, I'm going to be able to get my form, look at that, all the way on, flush to the front end right here, to the front end of the nail. That way, whatever I build over the top, the acrylic is not going to be stuck here in the corners. I'll be able to build over the form nice and tight on both ends. This is what you would be able to do, right? Even if you were doing, let's say, a repair. Sometimes someone comes in, they have a cracked toenail in the very, very corner, so you need to add a little bit of, say, fiber gel to that corner, a little bit of flexible type of enhancement, right, to make that repair. You would be able to do that. Now, there's another situation. Let's say someone comes in and they have like, like this whole entire kind of corner missing, right? They have a whole corner missing to the end of the nail. What you want to be able to do is you want to be able to use the tab as a way to kind of create, that missing side. So if I kind of clip this at an angle, right, then what I want to be able to do is line this up maybe to the side where the form is actually missing, or the natural nail is missing. And then that way, when we come underneath, right, and just make sure this is absolutely easy to do. And you're going to notice that once I have my form on, you're going to see how that form is going to be able to fit that corner just like that, so that we're, again, able to build something natural from the end, right, to place the corner. Because, again, you don't want a big space that's hanging on the end, okay? All right, so these are some general tips and tricks that you're going to be able to use to be able to navigate through form application. It's going to make all the difference in the world. If you guys have any questions, again, hit us up. Again, the best resource is www, right, youngnails.com, right? So I'm just kind of spelling this out because my marker's just kind of going dry on the surface. www.youngnails.com. Check us out on YouTube, again, at Young Nails Inc. For those of you guys that follow us on Twitch 3 days a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays. Join the community, be part of something special. For those of you guys that love doing nails, we are about helping you guys get to that next level. And in order for you to be able to do that, obviously, communication and information is going to help you guys achieve your goals. Let us know what we could do, again, to help you guys. And I look forward to seeing you guys on the next episode of Nail School. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thanks, you guys. Peace.
Subscribe channel now. Subscribe channel now. Sub and subscribe to channel.